Welcome back to Doe Sol's Horror Podcast. After a quick hiatus, we are happy that you're joining us again. And for all our first-time listeners, my name is Solly, and with me is my friend Doe, and we are just as much into horror as you are.
This is a two-part episode, so if you haven't checked out the previous part, please do so. Solly shared with us two stories based on female entities, one of which comes from a country that has plenty of wacky, spooky, and sometimes gory horror stories.
Also, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. We upload our podcast there as well, but add the visuals that come with our stories. The pictures will be credited in the description below. You can also join our Discord channel where we'd like to interact with our listeners and hear from you about your creepy and paranormal encounters.
Before we move on to the stories, yes, it's been more than 4 months since we came out with another episode, so our excuse, well, it's not an excuse, but I moved out of Singapore, so I guess I'm not allowed to share stories from Singapore anymore. I'm kidding, of course, but there are so many stories that I've collected from Singapore that I am bound to share it someday or the other, but not today, of course. The good thing that comes out of this move is that I am finally in sync with Solly on the basis of time zone, of course. We had some issues with our different time zones, but not anymore, and I am really excited. So in this second part of the episode, I will be the one sharing stories based on female entities.
And I'm really excited to hear about them. So the reason we chose to share stories about female entities is that we have so far always been following a certain theme of which we share our stories with each other and with you. First, we shared stories from the countries we were currently living in, but both don't live in any longer at the moment. And then we shared stories from our home countries. And for the episode that followed, we decided to share stories that are also close to us, which is female entities, since we do, out of this podcast, tend to talk a lot about things that are just close to us, things that we find interesting, and in these conversations came up why some bad entities or the creepy and the horror stories or the cautionary tales often include a bad woman of some sort, which we were to a degree, of course, also upset about, but mainly disgusted, and therefore we chose this subject as the headline for the next category of creepy stories we wanted to share with each other. And with this explanation, I'm more than excited to finally hear what creepy stories Doe has to share with me and you guys today. So, take the stage.
Before we move on to the storytelling, just a reminder to our listeners that these stories are not from our personal experience, and many of the stories were told to us by our friends or family, and we do cite our sources in the description of the episode. This story was told to me by one of my friends, and this happened to one of his close friends. Let's call him John. John used to regularly go over to his best friend's house for sleepovers, usually on the weekends. The best friend had 3 elder sisters, and at this time, his eldest sister was pregnant. On one such sleepover night, his best friend's sister went into labor and she was taken to the hospital. Of course, he recalled that the sister gave birth late in the evening to a healthy baby boy. Now, in many cultures, the baby's umbilical cord or placenta or even both are buried. But since it was a little too late to venture out while his wife is recovering post-birth, her husband decided to bury it the very next day. So he kept it in a jar, brought it over to his friend's place, gave it to his father to store it in the refrigerator, and went back to the hospital to tend to his wife before he told them that he would drop by in the morning to collect the umbilical cord. After dinner, everyone in the house went to bed and his best friend's mom told him to keep all the windows shut. John and his best friend decided to sleep in the living room after watching a movie. Around 2:30 or 3 in the morning, he was woken by a sound. John looked around but couldn't understand where the sound was coming from. He laid back down and tried to sleep when again he heard a sound. This time, his best friend woke up too and he thought John was playing a prank. It sounded like someone was scratching on something. Then out of nowhere, they heard banging against the window. The sound was so loud that everyone in the house woke up to see what was going on. The other two sisters were terrified and one of them even started crying out of fear. Then they started to hear a cry. It sounded like a baby's cry but mixed with a woman's laughter. His best friend's father quickly started playing verses from the Quran on speakers and everyone started praying. As they prayed, the weird crying and laughter got louder. Eventually, all the loud banging, scratching, crying, and laughing came to a halt. Later, he was told by his friend's father that it was the Pontianak. So
Demon baby. Oh my god.
So it's not a demon baby, but do you know what a Pontianak is?
No, I don't.
So I think it's the most scariest and violent ghost.
Actually I might. Oh yeah, tell me. Tell
Yes.
everyone.
So I think everyone in Southeast Asia know what a Pontianak or a Kuntilanak is. I think it's the perhaps the most famous, the most scariest, and the most violent ghost in Southeast Asia, especially in Malaysian, Indonesian culture. And it is a vengeful spirit of a woman who died during childbirth. So, yep.
God.
Yeah, and I think one story suggests that she was raped and that's how she got pregnant and then she died during childbirth. But many of them say that that is actually another ghost called Sundel Bolong. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And that is another entity that terrorizes men who walk alone in the dark of the night. And this confuses a lot of people, but the persistent belief is that Pontianak is said to have a penchant for haunting pregnant women or women during delivery and stealing newborns or sometimes even eating them. So probably why in the previous story that I narrated, the Pontianak haunted the family because I think it knew what was in the refrigerator. What was in the refrigerator, the umbilical cord. Like they love blood, and I think it knew that was there. So probably the reason why and I think probably also the reason why the best friend's mom told them to shut the windows, because I think she knew that this might attract the Kuntilanak or the Pontianak, as people say.
So as soon as it's in the ground, it doesn't attract it anymore?
In the see the umbilical cord thing, has nothing to do with Pontianak, but it's mainly in the culture where apparently if you bury it, it's something that they do. Apparently the umbilical cord is kind of like, it anchors the baby to the earth. Like it cements the newborn's link to Mother Earth, or rather the place of birth. So which is the reason why that's the culture. But I think since he didn't bury it immediately, he just kept it in the glass and then put it in the refrigerator, which I think it's not usually some people do. But I do know, like when my nephew was born, like the hospital asked us, like, do you guys want the umbilical cord? And I found it really weird. I was like, what? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like this was new to me. So then my sister was like, no, she doesn't want it, because then I realized that it's apparently a part of their culture that they do, like, but it's a good thing, like they ask you. And so apparently it's like your link to where you were born, which is the reason why. So I think it has nothing to do with the Pontianak, but unfortunately since they had to bring it back home, it kind of attracted the Pontianak to come. And there are a lot of things that attract, like that what I've heard is, like, even if you let's assume you do your laundry at night And apparently in Malaysia, like I know, I had a Malay friend, and he always used to say that you're not supposed to do laundry at night because the fresh laundry, I don't know why, but the smell of fresh laundry attracts Pontianak.
So that's so funny. Like, okay, it's not funny, but like here, for example, people nowadays, it's absolutely not like that anymore. But if you have like older people, they still tend to do their laundry at night since back in the day, the electricity was a little cheaper at night, you know? So there's still till this day people who, let's say in their 60s and higher, who would be like, yeah, like we're doing laundry at night because that's when the electricity costs. That's not even the case anymore.
Yeah.
But like what is it, the entity, is it a demon or is it, like you said, vengeful spirit?
Yeah, vengeful.
I can't say the word.
Vengeful
spirit. No, wait, my question was a different one though. Is it haunting the newborn, the mother, or like who is it haunting? Because the way I understood it, the umbilical cord was in the fridge, in the house, in the home, but the mother and the newborn child were at the hospital, right?
Yeah.
So the spirit was nowhere near the newborn child, right?
Nope. Thankfully not. Or like this is what I understand. Probably they thought that the newborn, like the Pontianak thought that the newborn was there, and probably why she came. It could be that also. Like I have a feeling it's more of that than her coming for blood. But I feel like it's more like, I think she thought that, oh, a new baby has been born, so I'll come and attack tonight. Because I think she could smell like the umbilical cord. I don't know. But I have a feeling it was more of, she thought that the newborn baby is there.
Okay.
So,
but like that would make me want to bury that thing precisely not where I birthed my child and living with my child.
No, so I have no idea where exactly they buried, but I think there is a burial spot, or I don't know if they just go down their house and then they bury it. I'm not sure, but
I would go far away with that thing and just bury it somewhere way out, like it never comes close to my house.
Yeah. I think Pontianak, like when you asked before, like what exactly is it?
Can you share a picture?
Yep. So like when it comes to appearance, she's like those typical pale skin with long hair, dressed in white. She has dark hair, long sharp nails. Just a second, I'll just.
You know who I have to think about when you say this? La Llorona.
Yeah.
By the way, quick disclaimer: we are both very sorry for any names we potentially butcher. Because we will, and we have certainly in the past. We're very sorry about it, and we're open to, like, please let us know if we do.
Okay, so I don't have a lot of pictures of the Pontianak because most of them look really similar. Like it's and so I even saw some pictures where they have literally taken an image from a Japanese movie and then they have said that that's Pontianak, and I'm like, okay, just because she has long hair, that doesn't make her a Pontianak. But yeah, so basically, she wears white and she has really long hair.
You know who I first kind of thought of when you described it? I was thinking about another entity. First I thought it was like, oh, that's the one she's talking about, but no. The one I was thinking about is one that is actually going for like pregnant women, and it's sort of a vampire, I think.
Yeah. So like I know, like even though Pontianak has been compared to vampires, particularly the more Western idea of vampires, the way she kills is far more gruesome, which brings me to the next story that I have.
Oh, segue.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay, so
let's go.
Yeah. Okay, so my next story happened in Malaysia, and this place is quite famous. It's a awesome holiday resort, and I think I've been there. It's lovely, and honestly, I knew about that place being haunted. but I've never actually heard stories. So this story is actually like a really famous one.
I'm excited to hear it.
A couple was coming back from a long night of gambling in the resort. As night falls on this mountaintop resort, the temperature drops and mist engulfs the only winding road that wraps around the mountain clad in thick jungles. The wife wanted to leave early, but her husband's celebration of his winnings made them late. Going down the mountain was taking longer than expected. During the day, when conditions are good, 30 minutes is all it takes. But with the road illuminated only by the moonlight and headlamps, progress was slow. The mist makes the occasional bend dangerous because of the high risk of skidding. One wrong move and you will be rapidly acquainted with the ravine. After an hour, they reached halfway and then suddenly their car came to a halt. The husband tried to restart the car, but he was unable to do so. He found it strange that the headlights were working, but the wheels were not. Both were relieved with the fact that at least the lights were working, when suddenly, as if they jinxed it, the headlights went off. The wife detected a faint smell. She tried to make sense of it. It was floral. It was the scent of flowers. She looked at her husband, expecting him to be just as bewildered as her. But he was oblivious to it. The husband decided to check under the hood, while the wife urged him to stay put. He assured her that he will be right there and that she will be able to see him. She could sense that something strange was happening.
Woman's intuition.
Exactly. She scanned the vicinity and kept an eye on anything that might appear out of nowhere and might drag her husband. The husband asked the wife for her mobile so he can call the tow truck, as he couldn't get any signal on his. The wife gave him a worried look and showed him her mobile with no signal either. Both then decided to wait in the car. There were no cars passing by. It was unusually quiet for a road that leads to the casino. "Surely there will be people going or leaving the casino," the husband said. He recalled that there was a gas station a few minutes down the road. The wife freaked out at the thought of her husband walking down a lonely road in the middle of the night and her being in the car all alone. He assured her that he'll be fine and left to look for help. A few hours passed by and she awoke to a sound. She looked at the time and it was past 12. Her husband had left an hour ago. She then tried to make out what the sound was. Turns out it was a scratching sound on the roof of the car. She thought it was a monkey as it was a common sighting there. The next sound made her jump in fear and hit her head on top of the car. It was a loud bang followed by a chaotic barrage of noises. She covered her ears in a futile attempt to drown out the noises when she suddenly saw a beam of light ahead, which then turned into flashing red and blue lights. She gave a sigh of relief at the sight of the police and tried to think of a way to grab their attention, while the thrashing and scratching sound continued. It was almost as if someone was trying to tear a hole in the roof to get to her. She quickly turned her flashlight on and waved it to get the attention. The police car slowed down, but as it came nearer, something felt off. She heard the rev of an engine. Someone had floored the accelerator. As the car sped past her, she saw the look on the officer's face. He was terrified. Someone or something had terrified the police officer. The police car stopped and immediately the officer stepped out of the car. gun drawn with a defensive stance, he tried to say something to the wife, but the car was about 100 meters away and the headlights were on her face, so she couldn't see clearly. The officer probably figured this out and took a few steps forward, motioning her to get out of the car. He was waving at her frantically to get out when she noticed something weird. His eyes were staring at the top of the car. She opened the door slowly, so as to not spook the monkeys, and started to walk towards the police officer. The police officer seemed to be screaming something to her, but she struggled to make sense of what he was saying until she reached close. Close enough to hear him say, "Don't look back, just walk, ma'am." This confused her. Perhaps it wasn't a monkey, but a tiger. Obviously, when you tell someone to not do something,
You immediately do it.
Her curiosity was unbearable. She turned around and looked towards the car. Something humanoid, dressed in blood-stained white, and hair so long that it touched its feet, was violently banging something on the roof of the car, swinging it wildly and splattering red blobs of stuff all over the place. She could smell the faint scent of a flower again, and as she squinted her eyes to see what the being was swinging and trashing, it instantly made her stomach churn and her blood run cold. She could barely let out a scream when she hit the ground and plunged into a coma. It was the head of her husband, with entrails splashing about. The Pontianak eviscerated her husband.
Yep. Why on earth did the police officer motion her to leave the car?
I mean, I think he saw that the Pontianak was busy with the husband, so maybe he could save her. But yeah, I feel like it was very weird. But I feel like also if she would have stayed in the car, I'm pretty sure she would have been killed too. But
I'm gonna be honest, I would have stayed in the car.
you know, she did say like someone was trying to get to her, as if like someone was banging and someone was trying. It felt like someone was trying to get to her, like to kill her as well. So I think it was
still I would have done like nah. You would have not caught me on that street outside of the car.
Yeah. But yeah, so Pontianak, when she's nearby, as the story says, that she could smell like the scent of flowers. So when Pontianak is nearby, her presence is preceded by the cries of an infant mixed with a weird feminine laughter, plus the cloying smell of frangipanis. I hope you know that flower. Yeah. And then it's immediately followed by an awful stench of decay.
Blah.
Yeah, and
which, you know what? There are flowers that smell like that. That first you what is it like? I think rapeseeds also do this.
Oh, is it?
You know, not fully, but like I'm talking about another flower right now. But like they also do it a bit. At least I feel like this. But there's some flower that it's like a sweet smell. The first thing you notice is sweet, and then kind of like it kind of stanky. And I always find it like a little like interesting to where these come from.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And man, like generally, you know, like I have a dog and I sometimes just walk through the wilderness with him, so I can let him run around leash free, and like every now and then we just get a rotten stench somewhere in the forest, you know, which is normal.
Yeah,
it's nature. Like, but man, to just be put, just to stay put, and then all of a sudden a rotten smell arrives, like that is creepy.
And like I remember like in Singapore when I used to walk in parks, I like, you know, sometimes I used to be told by my friends that, oh, you're not supposed to walk alone at night in parks, the Pontianak will get you. And I used to be like, what bullshit is this? And this is especially during the Ghost Festival. This used to happen a lot. Like like, you shouldn't walk around at night. It's one of those things, like you're not supposed to walk around at night. But like, I remember one of my friends, he told me that like, this is according to folklore, if a Pontianak is nearby, like she calls out your name, apparently. Okay. But sometimes if you hear a crying, and if it's soft and it's in the middle of the night, like you're walking, because I used to take long walks at night in the park.
Yeah.
Because it's Singapore. I'm not gonna walk around at day because I'm gonna be drenched in sweat. So I used to walk around at night, and my friend used to tell me that if you hear cries or if you hear someone calling your name and it's soft, like if it's soft, she's really near, like she's really near you. But if it's loud, like it's like really clear, then the Pontianak is far away. So that's how you know the proximity of a Pontianak. And I used to be like, that is so creepy. Like, but I've also heard of a story. If I think I've showed you videos, Solly, I don't know. So there is a Singaporean YouTuber, True Horror Stories POV. And
oh god, oh yes.
And it's amazing. Like,
I remember.
Yeah, people, like, you should follow. Like, she has really, I think the season 1 is where it's all her stories. So in one of the stories,
we will list her YouTube videos in the description below if anybody is interested.
Yeah. So in one of the stories, surprisingly, like, it is so weird, she's doing laundry late at night, and that's when the Pontianak comes. And she said that when she could hear, it's very funny, the sound that this
sounds very funny.
Yeah, the sound that she heard was a sound of a duck. Okay, but she could hear it really, like, it was as if the sound was in her room. Like, if you see the video, you can understand like why she thought that the sound was in her room, but the sound was very nearby. But the Pontianak was also nearby. So, like, if you go according to the folklore, if the sound was nearby, then she should have been far away. But no, apparently not. So she was.
Oh, I thought if the sound was just. Oh, okay. I got.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like, oh, when it sounds like somebody is like calling or like screaming your name loudly, that means it's far away, which makes sense because you call out to someone when they're far away, but you don't need to like be loud when they're close.
Yeah,
so that's what I thought you meant.
So this is the weird thing. Like, I think she can either call you, you can either hear cries or whatever it is. But if it's nearby, wait, what am I saying?
I understand.
Yeah,
no, I understand,
exactly.
though.
Yeah, you understand.
It just sounds like it sounds like she's in the room with you.
It's the opposite. If it sounds like she's in the room with you, then like, I think she's far away. But if she's far away,
then she's actually like she's trying to deceive.
Yeah. So that's the thing. But in her story, even she was shocked with the fact that the sound was so near. So technically, according to the folklore, she should be very far away. But if you see the video, when she immediately turned towards the window, she was right there. The Pontianak was right there. So this is what like really scared the shit out of her. That she didn't. I think she was not expecting that. Yeah, that's how they deceive you, probably. But,
okay. Geez, that's creepy.
Yeah, it is definitely.
That is creepy. Holy hell. Oh man. But like, you are supposed to be safe inside your house or what? Because you keep saying like, oh, people tell you not to walk around outside, and so that sounds like you're safe in your house.
I mean, yeah, I'm guessing, I'm like hoping you are safe in the house. And I think this is the reason why I think when you're at home, you're not supposed to talk about her. Basically, I feel like a lot of people, it's very weird. Like, you're not supposed to talk about Pontianaks or Kuntilanaks so openly. Like, like it's a joke. Like it's not something you're supposed to, like, you know how we share ghost stories. So you're not supposed to talk about her because that in fact attracts her. Yeah.
Well, have fun tonight.
I think. Oh my god. But yeah. So like I know that there are also ways to get rid of her or ways to avoid her. It's like, first of all, apparently they dwell in banana trees. And and they appear at night or during the full moon, which is the reason why you're not supposed to venture out in the dark at night, like especially alone. And And apparently, a legend has it that, like, if you encounter a Pontianak, you should have, you should strike something sharp but made of iron behind her neck, and then she'll turn. Apparently, she turns into a normal woman, and then.
And then you have killed a normal woman?
No.
Goal?
She just turns into a normal woman. And I've also heard stories where some of the men, they have married that woman who used to be a Pontianak, and then they have lived happily ever after. But yeah, so apparently you're supposed to carry sharp objects, and especially like really long iron nails. And when I think, especially in Malaysian and Indonesian culture, I think the women, especially when they're pregnant, they carry around a cloth pouch with nails, needles, and razors in it.
Okay.
So like this reminds me of a time where my father, he used to have like a small pocket, and it was filled with iron like nails. Like one was nail, 2 or 3 was like razors. And I always wondered why he used to carry that, because as far as I knew, he didn't believe in ghosts or anything. But yeah, it was very weird.
But I remember you telling me about a story of yours where you're also like, where your family used to tell you, like, when you walk home at night and you hear your name being called, like, don't turn around.
Yeah, you're not supposed to turn around. Yeah, I think that's a really common thing in India.
Which, by the way, I'll be honest, like, I mean, turning around is one thing, but just like completely out of the paranormal. If I walk around at night and somebody calls my name, especially a male voice, I will bolt. I mean, like, sure, if they know your name, then like maybe I know that person, but I mean, most of the time it's kind of like I hear a voice and I either recognize the voice or I don't, you know.
It's the same, like, this is a very common thing in India where if someone calls your name, you're not supposed to look behind. I also know this one thing where don't look behind. Like, don't turn your head, just turn your entire body. Which I don't get it. Like, what? Like, if I turn my head, she'll find that disrespectful and then she'll kill me. And if I have to turn my whole body. Like, I don't get that point. But this is what brings me to the next entity, which is like, because it's very, very similar. And I think you know about this entity. It's very similar to the Indian one. And yeah, I feel like these are quite related. It's very, very similar.
So your first 2 entities were from Malaysia, right?
Yeah, I think one story was from Malaysia. The other was, I think it's from Singapore, but it happened in a Malaysian or an Indonesian household. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this brings me to the second entity, which comes from India. And I feel like a lot of people know about this entity because there have been movies that have come out of us. So yeah, the first story is really, I feel like it's quite a famous story and it's always related to this entity. I think I'll move on to the next entity.
Please do, I'm excited.
There was a man who was driving home on his bike late at night when he spotted a woman at the side of the road. She had a blank expression on her face, but she also looked quite innocent, as if she was lost. Seeing that it was 2 a.m. in the morning, he wondered what she was doing out here so late. He contemplated if he should ask her if she wanted help, but something just felt off. So he just drove past her. As he was riding, he suddenly noticed from his side mirror that the same lady he saw earlier was running behind him.
Oh no.
And few seconds later, she was running alongside the bike, right beside him. He was driving the bike at a speed of 60 to 70 kilometers per hour at the time.
What?
Yes.
Jesus.
It wasn't possible that this woman was running so fast.
That doesn't seem very possible on the bike either.
It is possible, trust me. If it's a highway, the speed limit can be 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. He was shivering and didn't know what to do. other than speed up. The innocent lady with a blank expression was now giving out a sinister smile. She was enjoying the fear the man was exuding while he wondered if he was going to die. The man couldn't take his eyes off this horrific lady when suddenly he heard a loud honk of a truck that was charging towards him. He quickly swerved out of the way and narrowly escaped death. The woman was nowhere in sight. He reached a dhaba, which is basically a roadside restaurant that also serves as a truck stop, and told the employees there what happened. The people working there told him that there are many accidents and strange occurrences that take place in that stretch, and the chudel is most likely the reason why. He got lucky that he dodged the truck, otherwise his fate would be like the other drivers that were apparently killed by the chudel.
Oh, okay.
It's quite similar to Pontianak, because she's also a woman who died during childbirth or who was wronged, basically. Yeah. I feel like most of these entities are, are women. The female entities are
should teach us a very easy lesson, after all, which is not really addressed to us. Like, again, but it's more of like, just don't kill women. Don't kill anyone, please, out there, okay? Just don't kill people. Don't wrong people, because they will come back and haunt you. But the only thing I don't really understand is, like, see, like, when I hear this, I'm like also the stories before, like, she has all right to be pissed, like, she has all right to be pissed at men, especially, but
I mean, I like to think,
I get it.
Like, I like to think that these female, entities, like, were created by women in order to scare men into treating them like human beings. Because let's be honest, like, in a lot of cultures, women are still, women are still treated like second-class citizen. And the idea that, that a witchy demon or a really scary woman who can shapeshift and lure men into their own demise. And it exists in a culture where it's so blatantly misogynistic. It in a way, it is refreshing.
Yeah, and it also reminds me a lot of any kind of witch hunt.
Yep, for sure.
Like, oh, see, look, it's a woman that is out of the regular and actually wants more than the bare minimum. She must be a witch or a demon. Like, there is no way she's anything else, We were talking, I think, like, I might be wrong about this. I'm not sure which episode it was, but we were talking about the movie Bulbul.
Oh,
right?
Yes.
And that basically is, I feel like this is perfectly portrays any origin story of a ghost story that has a female, protagonist, antagonist, whatever. In this, like, honestly, with backstories, it is, I would actually kind of choose the word protagonist in this case, because again, like, I get it, man. If somebody would kill me, I would probably also be vengeful.
Yeah. The fact that people need to be scared by an urban legend into being decent to women, it makes me feel, it's very appalling. Like,
it's weird.
Yeah.
You have to make up stories in order
exactly.
to, like, cheat the system, the non-existent system, to protect women. Surely this has gotten better, but as you said before, it kind of depends on the country you're in, and also can only really be applicable to modern times, I'd say.
Yeah.
But what is even more shocking to me is that they listen to this. Like, that scares them, since the non-existent laws don't scare men like this, and I want to preface men like this, that it doesn't scare them, but, like, cautionary tales do, and that's, like, that's a whole other issue, and it gives you something to think about. It makes me angry even. Like Doe, what the hell? I came here to get scared. Now I'm just angry.
But that's the thing. Like when I was growing up, I used to hear in these Indian soaps and Indian dramas where they used to use the word chudel as an insult, and I was like, now that I think of it, anything that a woman does which is beyond the definition of patriarchal, conformist women, then that's a chudel for you. Like, okay, if she talks really loud, or if she has her own opinions, she's courageous, she's intelligent, she doesn't obey whatever you say,
she does whatever a man does.
So she's a chudel. So and also I also notice a lot of the times, sometimes a mentally ill woman is also blamed or is also tagged as a chudel because they don't realize that she is mentally ill. She's not possessed, or she's not bringing bad luck to the family just because she's ill. So like, it's also that, like, if there is if some woman marries into a household and then after that, unfortunately, the household has a lot of bad lucks, they lose money or something happens, they immediately blame the woman who just entered the house. Like,
it has to be the new addition.
I was like, oh my god, like, what the hell? Like, and no wonder someone had to create this entity to scare you, to treat us equally or to treat us good. So that's quite unfortunate. But to be honest, like, I know that it's fictional as much as I would not like it to be fictional, but the chudel or the Pontianak or whatever, they are doing something that probably we as humans should also be doing, is, like, petition for equal treatment. I think they have been doing that for years.
And for punishment if you don't. Like, that's more what they do.
And I legit, I want, like, if I die, I would love to be a chudel. I would love to be a Pontianak so that I can seek vengeance on behalf of mistreated women across the globe. Like, literally, like, I don't mind at all.
Yeah. Again, that's what I said. Like, I'd be vengeful if that happened to me.
I also think a lot of, some people say that there's a saying in India also, like, the circumstances, you're not a bad person. The circumstances make you a bad person. Like, no one is born a bad person. No one is born evil. Like, the circumstances make you evil.
Well, no, I'm sorry, I disagree. The circumstances don't make you a bad person. Your decisions make you a bad person. I'm sorry, like, the circumstances don't make you a bad person. If you are in bad circumstances, you can still decide. And the other thing that makes you a bad person is also the judgment of others. Because if I would go to a supermarket and I see somebody, I don't know, man, like, stealing bread or baby formula, like, the fuck I would tell anyone, I would just shut the fuck up, let them steal that, because, like, I mean, who the hell steals baby formula, like, there's a need apparently, but the thing is, in many systems, like, that person is a thief, and a thief is a bad person. So I feel like it's very much like, it depends on how you yourself see someone as a bad person.
No, so it's not a bad person. For me, it's like what the society thinks as a bad person. Like, if it's a thief, like, he's stealing bread, but as far as I know, he's stealing bread for his family because maybe he's not getting a job, maybe he's not getting a help, no one is helping him. There are a lot of these incidences that happen in India as well. Like, sometimes people resort to this because I know that they could do something else, but unfortunately the circumstances makes them a thief. But he's not a bad person, but he's bad person.
It makes them an unlawful person. And I'm not even sure, I'm sorry, right now English is not my first language. I don't know if the word unlawful exists, but
I think
it makes you an unlawful person. It doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah, so, like, I recently watched a movie called it's a trilogy, Fear Street, and it's again based on kind of like witch. So the first two part of the movies, it's shown that there is a witch's curse, and
by the way, though, just in case if you're spoilering, you should say so.
No. I don't think so. It's a spoiler. But I mean, if you don't want to know about the story, then yeah, it's a spoiler. But it's like you should watch the movie Fear Street, and in that, I feel like things happen that make her a witch, but she's not really a witch. But I'm not sure. Like I don't know how to say that, but y'all should watch the movie because it is good. Like it is. I would say it's still a teenage thingy. Like, you know, if you know Goosebumps, it's based on the Goosebumps writer R.L. Stein's books.
Yeah.
So you know it's more of a teenage centric movie. But yeah, it's like she does things which do not conform to the society. So she is she's stagged a witch, and she kind of becomes vengeful, but I'm yet to see.
She should.
Yeah, and she should. Yeah, she should. So, but for others, they're like, oh, she's a witch. She's a bad woman. That's why she's killing people, and that's why she's doing shit. But you know, she's not bad. She's just angry. She's vengeful. She's angry. So this is what I'm saying. Like, you know, circumstances make people bad, but not bad as in like they don't get the evil while at birth. Like you're not born an evil.
Yes.
Like people around you or the society makes you that. This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. Like the circumstances. Yeah, exactly. As always, both of us talking about the same thing, using different words, and then starting a discussion.
Exactly.
Welcome to our political podcast.
Yeah,
Today we are talking about women's rights again.
Oh my god! Even I think it was in the second episode. Somehow our horror stories became like really sad feminist political thing, and like okay, but yeah. So yeah. I think we should get back to the horror part.
No, like this one, like the one earlier, like that scared me.
Yeah. I didn't even get to show you the pictures, but I feel like you have seen it because you have seen Bulbul. But even though Bulbul was she was a really pretty for a chudel. So
yeah. I mean, again, it's a story. So if the story it depends on who. I think it also depends on who's telling the story.
Yeah, but honestly, both. I think not so much Pontianak, but as far as I've heard for Chudel, she actually lures men. What she does is like there are a lot of stories that I've heard of what
she acts like an easy target.
So yeah, so what she does is she's apparently very pretty, and she. Again, it's a very weird thing and also kind of superficial for a chudel, but anyways, she targets handsome young men. She lures them, and I think she takes her to this place or back to her home, or I don't know. She cages them for like years and years and years, and then she lets him go after he's like really old and he cannot use his charm and beauty anymore. Yeah. So this is kind of like a punishment. Second thing I've heard is she takes them back to her apartment or to her place or whatever it is, to her lair. And I think she makes him old. Like, even though he's young, he's probably like 25, she will make him look like 50. And then she just lets him go and live his life as an old person. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. But other gruesome ones are that, obviously she lures them and then she kills them. Like, she completely kills them. Especially the men, not just young men, especially any man who looks at her with lust. And, she just kills them. She doesn't give a shit. If you see in one of the images, she has like really long hair, and which is tied. Apparently, her powers are all in that hair. So if you want to get rid of her, you're supposed to cut that hair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's very difficult to do that. And obviously, Chudel, being Chudel, the most prominent feature is her feet are backwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also something covered in Bulbul.
Yeah. And I think that's the only way to identify her, which is the reason why you'll always see a chudel wearing a sari or a skirt, which basically hides. You can't see her feet, so it basically hides her feet.
Yeah, and as we often do, the creepy horror story, well, started out as a creepy horror story, and in the end, just became into, just turned into a female savior again. something the system can't get right. We have to get our ghosts to do for us.
Maybe in our next episode we will talk about male entities and how, I feel like how they were wronged by society's gender conformity pressure.
I mean, I think, the pattern most likely always is the ones that have less rights have more problems in the end.
Yep.
But surely there were also men who had less rights than other men. So the thing is always, again, lawful person and good person, which you can be. I'm sorry, just saying, it's extremely easy, in my opinion, to be a good person. It really is. Yes. And I don't understand somebody who, because you have to actively decide to not be a good person, like an unethical person or whatever, you have to actively decide to do so. And there are things that are easy to do and things that are not easy to do. Using less plastic in today's society, not the easiest thing to do. And this for me is just one example, and then there are other things like don't fucking hit somebody in the face if you're angry at them. That is very easy to do for me. And if you find it not easy to do, that should give you a hint that you probably have to go see some therapist or anger management, because for most people it's very easy to do. So that's the thing.
So welcome to the environmental plus the Oscar talk. I think this advice was from Will Smith. Are you listening, Will Smith? What Solly's saying?
Oh God, you're right. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Oh my God. Okay, so I think we should go back to the horror story part of the podcast.
So thank you so much for sharing these creepy stories with us today. Especially the second one creeped me out so much, but it's always good to know that there is a reasoning behind it. So thank you so much for sharing these with us today.
You're welcome, and I really enjoyed sharing the stories with you and the listeners. So thank you for joining us again, and also friends who have been supporting us. And don't forget to listen in next time for more paranormal stories. And if you'd like to submit your own paranormal, strange or unexplainable stories, or even urban legends from your own country, please write to us on Doe Sol Horror Podcast at gmail.com so that your story might be featured in this podcast.
Or join us in our Discord channel, where we would really like and enjoy to share the stories or discuss paranormal entities with you.
The email address and Discord server link will be mentioned in the description box or in the About section of the podcast.
We're looking forward to share more stories with you in our next podcast, so make sure to tune in. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.